Now, folks, Chief Meteorologist Nick Lillia here, taking a look at the tropical update for July 27th of 2020. Now that we're done with Gonzalo and Hannah, next up on the list is going to be our good friend Isaias. And the interesting thing about Isaias is I'm likely going to refer to it as like Izzy, just because it's easier to pronounce than Isaias. And I'm going to try and do that for two reasons. The first being hard to pronounce, but number two, I don't want you guys caught up more on how to pronounce the name right and not paying attention to maybe what's coming down the pipe, so to speak. Josephine, Kyle, Laura, and Marco after that. Wide view of the tropics right now shows what's left of Gonzalo out here. Now, there's not much to it. There's really, that's just a cluster of storms, I think, that's left over from it. And then we've got Hannah, what's left of Hannah hanging out over here. Actually, the interesting thing is all the convection that we're dealing with down across parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama for today is loosely associated with Hannah. And then we've got Invest 92L out here, which is going to be likely at this point, according to the National Hurricane Center, Isaias, as we head through the next couple of days. A 70 to 80% chance of development as we keep tabs on potential Izzy out here. The National Hurricane Center actually brought that down from, I think, at 80 to 90% overnight last night into early this morning. It looks like it's struggling a bit. I think it's eating a little bit of dry air on the north side here, but you are starting to see some banding in here, convective banding that's trying to get wrapped up and around the center. Spaghetti's on this bad boy. Do take it near Puerto Rico as we head through the next couple of days. Here we are Thursday afternoon, and it's kind of somewhere in this ballpark. As far south as into the Caribbean and as far north as the north side of Puerto Rico and near the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Now that's Thursday afternoon at 2. We can take this thing forward until Sunday morning at 7 a.m. And you can see the spread in here gets pretty large. A lot like with most systems. Usually we got a pretty good idea day 2, 3, and it starts to get a little fuzzier at 4, 5, and 6, and well, by day 7 there's usually a pretty good spread. In fact, if I were to lay a ruler down from one furthest point to the other furthest point, you're talking about 900 miles, and I'll say that's about average for these models when you're looking out 7 days. Now, the interesting thing to note is the cluster of all of these that are kind of just off the coast of Florida and into the Bahamas. As of now, a lot of the same models that can do both track and intensity have it staying as either a tropical storm or a very weak hurricane at this point, which is good news. A couple of days ago, that was not the case. The models were saying as closely ago as Saturday, I believe, that this was going to be a 2 or a 3. As it approached the United States, the Bahamas, Cuba, or even the Dominican Republic and Haiti. But as of now the models are kind of doubling back and saying, whoa, I think we were a little too aggressive, and the models are saying we're going to go with a tropical storm or a weak hurricane. So let's go over to the 700 millibar moisture 850 vorticity map. This is from the European, so instead of looking at all the models, we're just going to pick one. And you may say to yourself, well, is this the most accurate model then, Nick, if that's the one that you're going to show? No, it's not. It's the most accurate one for this particular situation that we have access to. So we've got two little asterisks in here. Unfortunately, we just don't have all of the data that we wish we had that we can present to you. We use it for the forecast, but unfortunately our computer system just can't display some of this stuff. So here's Izzy here, and then we've got 92L and Izzy here, and then the wave actually back in behind it, which is back here, that we'll have to keep tabs on through the next couple of days as well. So 92L kind of drapes across parts of the islands according to the European, maybe just on the northern edge. And here we are Friday night at 5 o'clock. Keep in mind, that's a little different than Sunday morning at 7 a.m., which is what a lot of the other models were showing. So our European model here showing things moving a little bit quicker than some of the other models. And we've got that secondary wave back here still. At this point, it's going to depend on what happens with a ridge of high pressure out here. The idea is that we're going to have a decently strong ridge that's going to guide everything. I'm going to turn this into kind of an arrow. Guide everything along. And I hate it when it does that. Guide everything along like that. There we go. And the question becomes, we've got our ridge out here, is how far off to the west does the ridge poke? The further it pokes, the more it's going to drag things either into the Gulf of Mexico before recurving, or maybe push it all the way into the Gulf of Mexico and over toward Texas. Now this gets into the point of we don't know. But here's one model rendering getting it into the Gulf of Mexico by the time we get toward Sunday at 5 o'clock. But it's pretty beat up. You can see that there's not a lot going on with that center area of circulation, no bright reds anymore. And it just kind of hangs out in the Gulf of Mexico all the way through Tuesday. So it gets there by Sunday morning and is there until Tuesday. Now, this is where I think we lose the believability because very rarely do we get storm systems into the Gulf of Mexico and into the center of the Gulf of Mexico to sit and spin for 48 hours and nothing happens. So this is where I think we kind of lose a little bit of steam with the believability. The wave that was back in behind it is right on its heels in here. And then we can kind of set this thing back into motion again, and you can see that 92L gets kind of sucked into the main flow, pulled up and out, and then the wave back in behind it kind of falls apart. Neither of those things seem reasonably believable to me, so I like this model. I think it's the most accurate one for our situation through about Friday. I think beyond Friday, I don't think that any of the models are doing a very good job at this point, so we've got to take things kind of one step at a time. We can only go out so far and have any semblance of accuracy here. So I tend to think that through Friday, give or take, we're feeling pretty good about whatever 92L is or becomes being somewhere between about Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti, and the Bahamas. Kind of somewhere on Friday, it's going to kind of be somewhere in here. And at that point, then we need to kind of figure out what's going on. If you saw the map that I posted the other day with kind of the lines out here where I said we're kind of curious about systems here, we're cautionary about systems here, then we kind of get concerned when they get close to here. We're going to be in the kind of cautiously watching things as we head toward Friday, and then as we get into the weekend, things may become a little more clearer about where this thing is going. So there's a look at your tropical update for July 27th of 2020, brought to you by the good folks over there at Pine Belt Gutters and Remodeling.